since we were both just a child. Entrepreneurs' heartbeats like a midnight train. In the game of sales, ain't no room for the plane. Mindset of steel, we never look back.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. Joining me on another Friday morning, live on KGCI Radio, streaming on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook and Instagram and wherever else we can stream. Super excited this morning. Got some in-house guests today. Ken Hirschmann, Dave Thomas. Guys, introduce yourselves. Where are you from? Best Life and Company over in Royal Oak.
Yes, good morning. Ken Hirschmann. I am the team leader of Best Life and Company real estate team, the number one team in units sold with EXP Michigan for 2024. Grew up in Metro Detroit. Our team is headquartered in Royal Oak. We have two locations, Royal Oak and Romeo. Recently expanded to Grand Rapids. And last year we sold about 700 houses, kicking butt and taking names.
That's it?
That's it.
That was so efficient. All right, Dave Thomas. I am been with Ken here for almost 6 years now. Can you believe it? 6 years? Goes by quick.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, right. So I'm the expansion partner over in the Romeo office that Ken mentioned. We just opened, been open for just over a year there. Let's see here. Just did
How many agents you up to?
What do we have? We're at 17 agents right now.
Nice.
Yep, growing. We're right in downtown Romeo. It's been a hell of a first year, and just did about $100 million our first full year there. So
Yeah. Not just dusting stuff off. Like you guys,
whatever.
You guys are like, I have 700 homes, 100 million, no big deal. We just did our thing. It's not a big deal. Yeah.
So it's a lot of houses.
It's a lot of houses.
It's a big year.
Yeah. It's a lot. And again, in a year where everybody said it was a down year.
Down year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we we were fortunate. I mean, we had a lot of things to do. So Dave did 100 mil in Romeo. We did 220 mil for our whole team, right?
Yeah.
So 720 houses for 220 million. I think we were up, like 25-30% from the year before.
Which, again, in a year that a lot of people were down 30%.
Yes.
You know,
and transactions as a whole were down quite a bit too. So we didn't think we'd have that big of a year, but we were able to, add some really good agents, retain, all of our agents and all of our top agents. If you look at 2023 versus 2024, the numbers they did, I think we had one person do north of 12 million in 2023, and I think we had like 6 or 7 do north of 12 in 2024. Yeah. So just kind of blew up.
So you guys must be doing something right, because you brought the code word retention, right? The code word retention is one of the things that we struggle with as team leaders and as brokerages, really. I mean, so what's been the secret sauce to the retention?
Best Life, this is my first team I've ever been a part of. Been in real estate 10 years now, 6 years, like I said, with Best Life. And, we do a lot of, culture-wise, we do a lot of fun things like winners dinner and annual team trips and sales contests. And, that's like part of the hardest thing, just finding the right culture. I think our daily team call, we have a daily team call every day at 8:30, and it just keeps like everyone's foot on the gas pedal as well. So, there's a bunch of things we do that kind of keeps everyone rolling in the same direction. Like right now we're in the middle of a CMA week, and we have a contest between Royal Oak and Romeo, and the most CMAs, right? And it's those constant things without taking your foot off the gas that just keep everyone rowing towards, our goal each year.
Well, and I think Dave's a good example of, the retention piece. Dave was a top agent. I think in 2022, Dave casually did 80 something units for 23
mil, but who's counting?
I teed him up. That was a softball. So, when you get top agents like Dave, it started out, Dave and I started having conversations. Dave was an agent on the team, and then he was a coach on the team, and then he started coaching more agents, and then we started talking as he did more business and started coaching more and having more influence. Of course, the conversations that I have to have and that he approaches me with are, hey, how do I grow, right? Most people that are highly motivated and kicking butt sales-wise, like maybe they want to start their own team, so it's up to me to kind of figure it out, and Dave and I were able to figure it out, where Dave's now part owner of Best Life and Company. He's the expansion partner, so really he's running his own team up in Romeo, and we've been able to make something work where he can really grow his own team within our umbrella, if that makes sense. Yeah. So
no, I love it.
Yeah.
So that's a credit to Ken, though. He usually is ahead of me on these combos, and there's really not this like glass ceiling, so to speak, at Best Life, right? Like wherever you're at in your career, like if you're like, okay, it's not about just doing more deals. Our whole thing is about like beyond real estate, right?
Right.
And so, if you can find a way to coach 2 or 3 agents, right? Or be a mentor to some of the newer agents. I mean, there's multiple ways to make the same or more amount of money and have that like family balance that you need, right? Which was big for me as we were growing our family from 2 to 3 to 4 kiddos.
Yeah.
Is it only 4?
It
Feels like 9.
It's hard to keep track right
Yeah.
now. I say 12 a lot.
Wait, you got 4. How many do you have?
2.
Yeah, I only have 2. I stopped at 2.
Yeah,
I
we're
was
done.
like, I'm good.
Yeah, capped at 2.
Yeah, you just kept going.
Babies and memories, yeah. Stack 'em up.
Everyone I know that has more than 2, their life's nuts. Exhibit A over here on my right.
But what would we do without him, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But no, so where did the Best Life and Company come from? Like, where did that come from with you?
It's a
With your
really
brand?
bad story.
No, it's
and
a cute story.
Yeah, I love telling
Come
it.
on.
So Best Life and Company was our third choice for our name, right? Because I ran like every name through my attorney just to make sure you
Yeah.
know someone else didn't have the name, whatever. First one was awful. Second one was decent, but first one was Infinity Home Group. Because
Okay.
our slogan's Beyond Real Estate, get it?
Yeah,
Infinity and Beyond. I don't know.
Infinity,
Yeah, it wasn't like a Toy Story or
What was
Buzz
the
fan.
think-
I
what
don't know.
was the think
But
tank going on
yeah,
there?
so
Were you
Infinity.
going to write your name on your bottom of your shoes? So
I don't
like
know.
Andy would be your
Probably.
guy?
Yeah. So Infinity Home Group, and then we were thinking the lifestyle company, but so which is similar to Best Life. And then we're kind of just thinking live your best life, like Dave said. In addition to selling homes, beyond real estate, about culture. Sales trips. Sales dinners. Like there's a social element to growing a team too. So just kind of like living your best life. We kind of like that, and then and company obviously kind of adds the team factor into it. So. We thought Best Life and Company was something that people can be drawn to a little bit more than Ken Hirschmann and Associates.
Yeah.
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 It's true.
And well, it's true, right? Like there is something to be said about that. And I think we're seeing that. I think we're seeing a lot of rebranding. I think we're seeing a lot of
Totally.
things in the industry where people are changing things that are because again, it's like because it goes back to what you were saying about Dave. Like, how does he build his business? How does he build his name?
Yep.
If he's Ken Hirschmann.
Yep.
He can't.
Yeah, and I mean it's funny just because kind of the name, the branding. Like I think it's cool, but I never thought it would be as important. I can't tell you how many agents that are on the team have said like, "I'm coming to you because I love the team name, love what you guys are doing, love what like the name stands for and is about." So, something people are drawn to. So I think it's important.
100%, man.
Yeah.
Like, again, the name has to mean something.
For sure.
The name has to mean something, and it has to be about something. And
Yeah.
obviously, you guys are doing something right over there. So,
For sure.
what's been the biggest thing that you two have seen in 2024? Right, like what was the biggest? Obviously, we had the NAR stuff, we had all that stuff happen, but did you guys see a big shift with any of that, or did it just kind of like roll along? Obviously, with your numbers, it didn't seem like it mattered.
No, it didn't really slow us down. I mean, we were, EXP, and I think we were, ahead of it and prepped, and the team was ready to rock and roll with it. The biggest shift that we saw, I mean, I don't know, we were just ready to rock with it. And I'll say that, interesting stat, and this one was kind of eye-opening. We saw for the few months before NAR, this is the commission stat. It's just wild, right, to show you kind of how we were on top of it. But this is the case with a lot of agents I've been seeing, like nationally too, just on social media and whatnot, that we're doing it right. Our average team commission was 2.71, I believe it was. After NAR, for the last 3 months since NAR, it's been 2.91.
Isn't that crazy?
So it actually went
Wild.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I think it did is, a lot of agents would work with buyers without doing, I say doing it the right way, without doing it kind of the way that most people coach, which is sit them down, have a buyer consultation,
Right.
Get the buyer broker agreement signed. And what NAR did is it required people to have those conversations that were a little bit uncomfortable. A lot of agents could get away with not having at all or down the road, and it kind of forced that transparent dialogue, which I think has been really good for a lot of the agents because it really forced them to do things what we think is kind of the right way to do it.
Right.
So then you have that uncomfortable commission conversation, but at least it's out there in the beginning and everyone knows what to expect. So like Dave said, it's actually helped commissions, not just with our team. We've heard it's helped commissions with a lot of agents.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. That was, I think, a statistic that EXP did talk about. And I think part of it was that they were so far ahead of it.
Mhm.
If we were getting information way ahead of everybody else.
I had agents from all different brokerages reaching out like, hey, what are you guys doing?
Totally.
What docs are you using, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it was good to be in front for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and again, I think you're right. I think because we should have been doing that all along anyway.
Sure. Yeah.
We should have been having buyers consultations, but I feel like for a couple years there, we were just running and ripping. Like
Had
it
to.
was- There was no hold back. It was just like, we got to go, get a buyer, go out. Like there
10
was,
offers on the first day. You didn't have time for a buyer consultation,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I was actually coaching agents for a while, just to go to the house and have the buyer's consultation at the first house
Sure.
showing.
Yep.
Like, just get it out of the way.
Just get it out.
But
Yep.
Get there and get out of the way.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, I actually expected a little bit more, not pushback, but I feel like buyers are inquisitive and they do ask questions, but I mean, really there isn't a whole lot of change. People say what changed? I mean, commission was always negotiable before and it's negotiable now, right? And on the listing side, especially with what EXP is doing, kind of leading from the front, it's been pretty easy with the sellers too. Commission's always negotiable with the buyer broker.
Yep.
Was before, is now. The nice thing is you don't have to agree to it until you sign on the PA. We don't have to set it on the MLS anymore, but it's really all about that net offer. So you just coach the sellers through it. They're going to pay it anyway, and they have paid it with us, and it's been good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't. Have you guys noticed anybody? Have you had anybody putting up a stink about it or?
I mean, dozens and dozens of deals since this happened, and I've only had one seller give me a hard time on the buy side, and it ended up being a moot point. Just got concessions, but literally that's it. One. I mean, even with our team call, I mean, you rarely hear something come up where someone's really going through a hairy situation. So hardly anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Us too. The only time I've had when it first all came out, you go on a listing appointment, like, I don't have to pay the buyer anymore. I'm like,
Right.
well, you honestly never really did.
It's probably not in your best interest to unemploy all 15,000
Right.
buyers agents in Metro Detroit, whatever it is, right?
Yeah. My example always was like, if your house is for sale and your neighbor's house is for sale, and your neighbor's going to pay and you're not, who do you think's house is going to sell faster?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to use that one.
That was an easy squash. It was
Easy.
Like,
Oh,
and then I said, what we can do is we can lower the price of your house by 3%.
yeah, exactly. That's what I said.
I don't want to lower the price.
Yeah.
I'm like, right. So let's just do that.
Yeah, you're not going to get 100,000. You're going to get 97 if you're not paying it.
Yeah.
You're just getting it on the front end, paying it back on the back end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I literally it was funny this summer I had a client say to me, well, we're doing this concession. What's the buyer bringing? I'm like, all of the money.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
literally, they're bringing all of the money.
Exactly.
Without them, your house is just here.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah. What's the buyer paying for? I'm like, the house. Like, yeah. Shocker. The house. But yeah. So what's 2025? What's that vibe going to be like? What are you guys seeing so far? I know we're early in the year.
Yeah.
But what's been 2025 so far?
It's been a busy start to the year. I mean, nothing slowed down. Not 10, 20 offers on every house, but still multiple offer scenarios, still creative situations we got to work through on team calls and coachings and whatnot, but nothing's really slowed down.
Yeah, January is always a little bit funny, but I feel like, first of all, I thought December was blazing hot for us anyway.
Yeah.
It was our third best month ever in December. And that has bled into January.
Mm-hmm.
So I always, the kind of the old joke, I've been in real estate 10 years, and January 2nd is always early spring. And especially since COVID, I feel like spring hasn't been March or April. It's been Jan 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it's been really hot. I think it's going to be a really, really busy spring.
Yeah.
Because inventory hasn't really gone up. Most economists, whatever, they think that inventory will go up a little bit, and the number of transactions will go up about 10 or 15% in the state of Michigan from last year, which is a good thing. So if there's more inventory, I just think it's going to be busier.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see now. I've seen. Have you guys seen the same thing? Like stuff sitting a little bit, like houses sitting a little bit longer.
It depends on price point. I feel like our sweet spot are really competitive price points, but there has been some agents that have noticed a little bit more room. And who knows if that's just because, Q4 heading into January and if that's going to change, but not too much, to be honest. I feel like it's relatively competitive right now.
Yep.
Yep.
And it was funny. Like last year, last year was the first time doing this that really people were waiting till after the election.
Yeah.
Like people were literally
We got that a lot.
Like we were trying to overcome that objection, but
For
people
sure.
were just like, nope.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what's going to be the difference?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah. And historically, it's really nothing, regardless
yeah.
of who's in office. But obviously, it was a big polarizing year. And, so I think that made people sit and wait a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Based on your guys' numbers, you didn't have to worry about it anyway.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, exactly.
I love it. So what's been the biggest thing since Best Life and Company and this partnership? You guys expanding this? Is there another expansion down the road? Is there?
We can't tell all our secrets.
I'll let you take that one.
No, go ahead, you. No. Well, we did recently expand in Grand Rapids, which is super exciting. So we are opening up a space there March 1. We have 2 agents out there. We have a couple more onboarding in the next 30 days. So that's super exciting. So, I always say this, this is the second team that I've grown, right? Realty, real estate, independent brokerage out there, still highly successful. Kind of built that from the ground up from 2014 to 2017. And what I learned is it's always more difficult to find the right person than the right location. So I think with the right person that can recruit, retain, coach, train, lead, they can build a branch of Best Life or whatever real estate team anywhere, right? So we found the right person in Grand Rapids, and Grand Rapids is obviously a great growing market. So we found the person first, and they just happened to be in Grand Rapids.
Yeah,
And that's a lot of times people say, "Oh, we have to expand here," or "I want to expand here." So it's okay to have a vague geographic area, of course, but got to find the right person,
right.
Yeah. So to answer your question directly, though. We love Traverse City. We love Northern Michigan. Northwest Michigan, I think, is a massive market. So we're kind of looking there in the next couple of years. And then right now we have 2 Metro Detroit locations. And, we think, in about 12 or 15 months, we'll have a third somewhere a little bit, maybe up 75.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love it. And you're right. I think you hit on something that you say you found the right person.
Mm-hmm.
Then the area, I don't think matters because houses sell everywhere.
For sure.
Everybody needs to buy a house.
100%.
Right? And so I think finding that right person. So what does finding that right person look like to you guys? What do you look for in that right person?
They just got to be an RKG, Jimmy.
Right kind of guy or right kind of gal. RKG.
That's it.
Yeah.
That easy.
I was like, code for what? You could see the
We love a
Rolodex
good
in my head
acronym
spinning.
here.
Yeah.
They're an RKG, right?
Well, I think too. So let's look at Dave and I, for example. I started Best Life, and the reason why I was able to start Best Life is because I was able to sell a lot of houses. And at some point, you have too many leads that you can handle, so you hire a buyer's agent to help you with those leads, right? In the absence of leads or value, you're probably not going to be able to recruit too well, right? So had a need, hired my first buyer's agent. So I think you have to, as a team leader, or an expansion partner or someone who can open up a new office, they have to be able to sell at a really high level because they're going to coach it down the road.
Yep.
So sell and then learn how to coach, right? So Dave kind of evolved into top salesperson, assistant coach, coaching 3 to 5 agents, head coach, coaching 6 to 8 while recruiting.
Yep.
And the recruiting piece and the sales piece and the coaching piece. I mean, if you have those 3 things, and then obviously, when he's coaching, he's learning the leadership game and whatnot, and he had it already. I mean, I think that's the recipe for success for growing a team.
And I want somebody that it's really important too, because a lot of times your top producers can't go into that coach role.
Sure.
Right? Like Michael Jordan's not a good basketball
Sure.
coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's hard to find that top producer that can then coach and work with people.
Yeah, I mean, me and Ken still coach bi-weekly, coaching the coach, right? I
Yeah.
mean, so we have some tough combos. I mean, it's not natural for me to go through that. Like, I'm like the sales guy, right? And so, over the last 6 years, Ken worn off on me, so to speak. That's a compliment.
I don't know. Depends on the day.
I was gonna say that. I don't know if that was a good or bad. I don't know.
That's
where
a
that
compliment.
Was
That's why, yeah. But no, I've learned a lot, and it is. It's not easy to make that transition, right? I mean, so it's someone that has to be coachable too, right? It's like you don't know everything, you never know everything, and you have to be open to some pretty tough combos sometimes too, right? With personnel or recruiting or hitting numbers, whatever.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I mean, I think selling is really hard, but so you don't necessarily have to be the top salesperson, right? So I agree with you completely, but I think you have to sell at a high enough level. Mm-hmm. So there's that proof of concept, right? It's kind of like, a basketball coach that never played basketball. Like, it can work, but it's a little bit easier when they've been there, done that at a decent level. You know what I mean? So yeah.
No, it's true. There is something to be said about it, and I also think that you need to stay somewhat involved in the day-to-day of the sale.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
You still got to be in it.
Yeah, you have to, because there's a lot of coaches out here,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of coaches out here that just don't sell anymore.
For sure.
They just coach.
I just had a couple agents say this to me. I was talking to during like one-on-ones and recruiting appointment, like, "Oh, I like that you're still selling." And like, I did 50 homes last year, and it's like you're still in it, and they appreciate it. I don't think about it because it's just like this is the job, right?
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah, but like they appreciate it because just like you said, there's some that haven't sold in years, or one or two here, or whatever, right? I mean, they like that you're in it and you know what you're saying because you're in the foxhole with them.
Yeah. It kind of goes back to that, like the old school, like brick and mortar broker that sits in the office and just like tells everybody what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, you know what it's like to sell? You haven't sold anything in 10 years.
For sure. I know.
But I have this coaching thing here.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Here's my scripts.
Well, I think there was a shift away from like some of the coaching and, masterminds, podcasts, whatever, of like, leverage, which is true. And now it's kind of gone back to like, you got to get back to the basics. And part of the basics being the right leader for running a team or a location is, like he said, kind of being in the fire and still selling a little bit so that they see you rowing with them, right? So I think it's kind of shifted back to like, yes, leverage is great, but don't completely remove yourself from the business. I see a lot of team leaders getting back in to an extent for that leadership piece.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think that is part of, I think that was one of the reasons that people were struggling with retention was because it was that you just come in and point the finger and then walk out.
Yep.
And it was like, well, I don't want to do that. I want, somebody that can build a culture, that can still sell, that can actually tell me what the day-to-day like firefight is when I go into a negotiation.
For sure.
And when you don't have that ability, like, so what do you do say for the NAR thing? It's like, well, here's this paper and read this. Well, no, but what did you actually say when you went out and did it? Like, how did you say it? It's like, well, I don't know. I don't do that anymore.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
For sure.
tough to follow that person.
Well, and I say this, I mean, if anyone that wants to build a team, like Dave's built a team of 17, I mean, Best Life has, I think, 45 agents now. You have to do it because you love real estate and you love coaching and you love the game, right?
Yeah.
And in a lot of, like, I'm still selling a little bit, like you said, enough to kind of be in the game, right? But I miss the game selling more. Like, I go back and I'm like, man, my favorite time was when I was just cranking out 60, 70 deals. I mean, love what I'm doing now, but like, you miss the game because you got to love it. And even if you're not doing it on a day-to-day basis, you're going to be coaching it every day. So I think one of the things that we've done really well is, Dave and I, all of our leaders, we're in the office 4 or 5 days a week. We're not, jet setting, 20 weeks a year, running the team from afar. Like we're here, we are coaching, we're doing the work. And I think the team appreciates that.
Yeah. Get your hands dirty every day.
For sure.
Yeah.
Another thing with retention, Jimmy, while we're talking about, like Ken mentioned, we have 45 agents all last year. We had like 35 to 40 throughout the year. I mean, we're growing strategically, and it still feels small. And I think the agents like that. You know what I mean? So you come to a team meeting, everyone's still like high-fiving, hanging out. It's not like, who's that, right? I mean, and you'll be a new agent or two every time, but it's not just like, boom, here's 200 agents, right?
Right.
And so I think that's been something that we get a lot of feedback like, oh, man, I like that there's not like 100-some people here. It still feels like this micro brokerage, even though your numbers are high and everyone's getting paid. Yeah,
yeah. And you do have to be cautious with that, right? Because it when you start to grow like that, when you start to grow these big numbers, and you say 40 is not a lot, but 40 is a lot.
4 is a lot.
Right? Like 40 is a lot. So, but you get that to 50, 60, 70. Now it's like, what's your name again? Like,
Right.
You need name tags on everybody.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's one of the challenges. I mean that's one of the challenges that we face going from one location to two, and we're going to face it going from 2 to 3. But one of the things that I think is really important to us is, right now we have about 15 or 20 agents per location. So I think 29 days a month, 30 days a month. It feels like Romeo has their own little team and Royal Oak has their 15-person team, and then once a month we come together. They're like, oh, cool. Like, it's kind of bigger, a little bit bigger than what we think it is, right?
Yeah. And it's cool that you guys have like competition with each other.
Yep.
So you start to have that friendly competition that, well, what's Romeo doing? What's Royal Oak doing? Now you're going to have it with what's Grand Rapids doing, right? You're going to start to see there's going to be a 3-headed thing of like, who's doing what? And like, I know we're all competitors, right? Like we all need a scoreboard, and it's like, who's up on the scoreboard over there?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of shit
we're in the thick of a big contest right now, and who's up? Romeo or Royal Oak?
Last night Romeo was up, and I took the
slightly,
screenshot.
yeah.
Uh-oh.
So.
Yeah. We're not going to say what the loser has to do for the winning team, but we'll keep it off air.
It's not podcast appropriate. Totally joking. Totally joking.
It's not Best Life either, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's not Best Life either. So 2025, we're rolling along into there, and what is the big audacious goal? Like, what's your number goal for Romeo?
Romeo, Romeo's we're shooting for 130 mil. That's
Okay.
our goal. And, obviously there's some agent growth goals and stuff, but we did, like I said, just under 100 mil last year in our first full year. We do everything right this way, and the agents are in production in the where they should be based on our average agent count and our average units per agent. I mean, 130 is not a stretch goal. That's our target.
Just a conservative 30% year-over-year goal.
No
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah.
I'm in this like bubble. I'm just used to these numbers, and I try to like pull back. And like when we do our monthly recaps, I'm like, guys, look at these numbers compared to the rest of the industry, whatever,
Yeah.
right? And try to put in perspective. But like we're almost like, I don't want to say we're like numb to it, but like I've been in this best life, I'll call it like a best life bubble for the last 6 years, and I'm like, oh yeah, 30% growth, MBD, whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, and as a team, 250 million. So
Okay.
we did 220, so 250.
Yeah.
Which is 30 million more. So as long as Dave does his job up in Romeo, we're good.
You don't have to do anything.
No, yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, you heard it here first, right?
You'll be in
Knock it
Florida
out.
for a while.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Ken's gonna be down in Florida for the next month.
He'll only golf like 10 extra times now.
I didn't get enough rounds in last year.
He's
Yes.
counting.
So is golf the away from real estate thing?
Oh yeah, yeah. So
Is golf a problem?
I'll let you answer that.
is 812?
Is Taylor
Is
watching
Tay
this?
calling in 812 area code? Yeah, I mean golf. I mean really, real estate, golf, and family. I mean those are the three things, right? So
In that order.
no comment.
I golfed way more before baby number 3. 3 and 4, it's been a blur, guys. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
We'll get out again. That's the goal for 2025. Get out, a few more times.
Get out a few more
I mean,
times.
what do you
Well,
get? I mean, I would say travel and golf. I mean, family travels a lot, so we love traveling with the
Yeah.
family. Personally, love
you
getting
guys
away
can
planes.
include me in the golf stuff if you want.
Good. I
Yeah.
didn't know you golfed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I love golf.
We'll get
All
you
right.
out there.
I don't get enough, right? But we all say the same.
Yeah, for sure. Can't wait. Noted.
Yeah, we all say the same thing. Al Abdallah over in Dearborn just said I hopped back in the production line not too long ago because I miss being on the playing field and not just coaching and leading. When you're there and selling with them is better.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Al is everywhere. I'm not surprised.
Al is everywhere.
He's a savage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. He said Al's on putting his things in here. He said when the cat's away, the mice will play. Because again, when you're out doing your thing, that's what happens, right?
It's human nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to go back to Al's point, I mean, I think Al's what, medium-sized team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think as a leader, I think it's more fun, right? When you're winning together, and plus, like you said, I mean, you can only hear so many hypotheticals when you're coaching and stuff. At some point, you got to hear the objections and get through, work through the tough scenarios yourself, so you can speak to it. Because examples and stories sell,
Yeah.
and I think they impact more than just hypotheticals all the time. So
Yeah.
couldn't agree more.
Facts tell, stories sell.
That's it.
That's it. So you want a 30% increase too, right? So out of Royal Oak, or-
Yeah, 30 million more.
Okay.
Right. So 220 to 250. So what is that? Like 10 or 15% up. I mean, I think those numbers are doable, but yeah, I mean, like, I always say, we do focus, of course you got to begin with the end in mind, but like a lot of it just has to do with like one thing I think we do really well is everybody in the company gets coached twice a month. So like I picture and I run the organization like a big team. Like I always was a sports guy. Like it's a big team. Like as long as each individual kind of takes care of their own business, the team will win, right?
Yeah.
So we're really big on setting personal goals and then coaching to those goals. And if one agent's goal is 5 mil, that goal is as important as Dave's, which is 15. Like everybody has to win individually for the team collectively to win. So we really just try to keep it simple, not think about the end number too much and put too much pressure on the team. Just have everyone win individually, and good things will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, Dad?
No, it's like the way you track that when you can blink and 2 or 3 months goes by.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, hey, here's the numbers we talked about that you wanted to do, in December of 2024 for 2025. It's like, and we have a monthly tracker that we post in our Slack channel, right? And it's like, okay, here's who's pacing, who's not. So I mean, we're constantly keeping on it and holding the agents accountable to the goals that they set, right? And then it's like, okay, well, if you're off, why? And here's the things we need to do to get you back on track. And this is happening, like Ken said, bi-weekly. Obviously, multiple conversations in between that.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, there's a thumb on it throughout the year.
Well, and I'll say this too for anyone listening, or that will listen. A lot of times people, when we have a lot of agent attraction and recruiting conversations to our team, right? And they're like, "Oh my God, you have all it's so intimidating. You have all these big players. They're doing 17 million and 12 and 8 and this, and I'm at 2 mil. Like, it is stressful, or, puts a lot of pressure on me to get to 6 or 7 mil. Like, how do I do that? And one thing I will say is the thing I love about real estate is, really my equation for production is effort plus skill plus organization equals production. So if someone wants to do 7 mil, you can always work that equation, and you know what I'm talking about, where you work backwards and say, okay, 7 million, what's your average sale? That's 25 deals. How many pendings do you need to close 25? How many, sign agreements, list side by side, you need to sign to pend 32? And you just keep working backwards so that you get a daily activity goal that has nothing to do with skill, or, anything else that could go right or wrong in real estate. Just focus on what you can do today, and you're either going to go 0 for 1 or 1-0. Just win the day. Love that.
Oh, nice.
I have to get you the applause because that is so big. And one of the things that you said that I really liked, and to complement what he said, was whatever their goals are, right? Because, see, I think a lot of team leaders miss that part of, like, letting them set their goal.
Yeah.
Now, can you push them and make it a little high? Sure, right? But at the end of the day, like, I had a conversation with the lady one time, and she was upset because her team was like, well, you don't make 100,000, you don't make 100,000. They were like almost threatening to get her off the team. And she was like, I'm retired. I just want to make enough to take my grandkids to Disney World. Like, that's all I want to, that's all I need the money for.
Yep.
I just want to sell a few houses. And I'm like, well, leave her alone. That's all she wants. She's going to sell 5 or 6 houses. She's going to take her grandkids to Disney World, and she's going to be done for the year.
Yep.
Like, let her do her thing.
Well, that's something we talk about a lot, where we have a lot of conversations where we say, like, look, here's our team. We do have a loose, minimum standard of production, but, there's as much value in, we have a couple agents that have been here 4 or 5 years, and they're very comfortable doing 20 or 25 deals, and they're as valuable as, Dave or our top producer, Zach Carey or Nick Harris, doing 17. Like, we don't have to have killers for every, as every agent on the team. Like, there are role players as well that are as valuable as the star.
And they contribute a lot with the culture, team calls, you name it, right?
That's
so,
it.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my advice would be, you don't have to be one thing for everyone. Kind of have a minimum standard. And then if people can, I guess, be themselves, individualize, and have their own goals within that standard, I mean, be flexible with it.
Yeah.
Something I want to add to that too, Jimmy, is like, everyone has different, Ken mentioned, like, the metrics, right? Like, it might move the needle for them to make, 40 contacts a week, or, 5 contacts a day. I don't know, I'm making it up, right? Whatever moves the needle. For me personally, it's appointments per week. It's effort based. If I don't set the amount of appointments I want to make a week, I can stay late on a Thursday and hammer it out, or I can call Saturday morning to set that extra appointment that I didn't get. But, like, just like a basketball coach, and, like, not everyone shoots the same way, or a pitching coach, not everyone pitches the same motion. You can't coach everyone exactly the same. So, like, what moves the needle for them? And, so everyone has kind of a different metric. And once you hone in on that as a coach, then you can really hammer it. Hey, you didn't set X amount of appointments this week. Like, what do you need to do? Where's your next 2 appointments coming from, for instance?
Yeah. Because then again, what's that driver?
Right.
What's that driver inside of them that you can help pull out? Because it's different for everybody, and like, because agents, when I ask agents all the time, what do you want to make next year? What do they all say?
100 grand.
100 grand. Everybody, 100 grand.
Well, something I learned too, one of my coaches told me this, and this was a mistake that I made, and I continuously have to remind myself, like, just because you think financial is number one for, like, everybody, it's always in everyone's top 3 or 5, but rarely is financial number one. Right. So don't, just because it's number one to you, or you think it's number one for everybody else, like, yeah, everyone has to pay their bills and live the life they want, but usually it's somewhere between 3 and 5 for most. Yeah. And by you trying to, have them fit in this box, like you had said, assume everyone wants to make 100 grand, it's just wrong.
Yeah.
So.
And then these high D personalities are like, you're going to make more money, right? Then it's like, why don't I just want to take my grandkids to Disney
100%.
World? Like, I don't want to make $1 million. I want to take my kids to Disney World. I don't
for sure
need to do all the other stuff. So, you guys are hitting on some very good stuff about, like, so now I see why you're retaining people. Now you're retaining people because you're not fitting them to your team. You are fitting them to your team, but you're not making your team fit them, in a sense, right?
For sure.
Like, you're not forcing something on them that they're uncomfortable with. And I think that's a testament to your leadership and to what you guys are doing and building, because, again, it's not easy, because we all have the same mentality of, like, just do more. Like,
Yeah.
why don't you just doing more?
Yeah. Well, well, I'll say this too. I think it's something we don't talk about, on our team enough, but we do have core values. And my coach was like, you know what? If you want to grow, the more rigid and the higher standards you have, it's harder to grow. Doesn't mean you lose sight of your standards, but pick 3 or 4 core values, hire around that, and then be flexible with everything else to let agents, be individuals and be themselves. So core values, live your best life. BEST is our acronym: beyond real estate, effort and energy, solution focused, and training and growth based. Like, you kind of get that right, and they're a decent human, and usually it works out. So my past team, we had a lot more standards, in-office requirements and this and that. And I would say a lot of that is still strongly encouraged, but not mandated.
Yeah.
So stick to your core values, kind of keep those, keep it simple, and then be flexible with everything else as you grow.
Yeah.
We always say we're probably the most laid-back team for the amount of production that we have and the amount of agents that we have, right? I mean, we're pretty laid back, to Ken's point, when it comes to that.
Now, it's funny because and you brought up something that Ken coaches you, right? And now you keep talking about a coach that you're having.
Yep.
And do you still get coached?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. I pay a couple grand a month to get my butt kicked. Yeah.
It's funny how we do that, right?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we run it like a sports team, and head coach has to have a coach too. So it's something I've always, I like getting my butt kicked every now and then, and I've always responded better to coaching and hard coaching. So it's something that I've had for, I think, since I started. I mean, I've had a personal coach for the last 7-8 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think people miss that so much. Like,
Sure.
they assume, right? The assumption is like, well, you're the team leader. You don't, like, no, I need just as much coaching as everybody else.
Yep.
It's different.
Yep.
Right. It sounds different. It's a different way of coaching, but I still need it.
Absolutely.
I still need to get my butt kicked every once in a while.
For
because
sure.
you said it earlier, there's something to learn every day. And I got to keep learning, right? I spent 20 years coaching high school basketball to go to every coach's clinic and all the things to how to do it.
Exactly.
But if you don't continue doing that stuff, like I can't be coaching like I was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
20 years ago, we could do a lot of stuff. We could yell. We could do a lot more stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would not be a
Kids
good coach
nowadays
now.
are
No.
different. Yeah.
No.
Too many water breaks.
Water's for the weak.
That's right.
Who needs water? But no, I think that's a testament again to what you're doing though.
Yeah.
And what is that? What is that coaching like for you now? Like, what is that?
He comes limping out of those calls.
Yeah. I mean, when I do something good, he doesn't tell me. When I do something great, he kicks my butt and says on to the next. No, I'm kidding. My coach is great. It's as accountable as I want it to be. And a lot of it is just really difficult questions to think critically about, like, what you're doing and why you're doing it. Right. Like, so when you're the kind of team leader, like, obviously part of it is casting a vision, being the chief educator, doing all these different things, forward thinking and whatnot. So a lot of it's just really critical questions. And then something that, obviously our mantras beyond real estate, or our slogans beyond real estate. So a lot of it has to do with wealth building for me. And then how do you coach and teach the agents how to build wealth beyond real estate? So we bring in my CPA, we bring in my tax attorney, like we're trying my will and trust attorney. We're trying to get our agents not only to win in real estate, but once you make the money you want to make, and once you're kind of situated there, what do you do with it? Do you invest in real estate? How do you set up your family the right way? How do you mitigate taxes and do that the right way? I mean, we try to be a little bit more holistic in that approach. I think that's a little bit of a differentiator for us.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I've learned so much since I've got here. I mean, I use the same CPA as Ken now, for instance, but like I can't tell you how many agents reach out or come to our events. We do a wealth building Wednesday, for instance. We'll have a CPA come in and just packed house, agents from all over. Like, there's just so much that we do to, like, provide value for the agents that takes it just beyond the next deal, the next deal, the next deal. Like,
Yeah.
But
real estate's the engine, but and you're going to make money doing it. But like, what are you going to do after that? Are you going to be on a hamster wheel forever? No, here's some things you can do
Right.
to like set yourself up.
Yeah.
But I mean, back to the coaching, right? I think just a lot of critical thinking, critical questions, and then a lot of butt kicking.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny how it's needed, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's needed. Like, man, I had a really good week, and then you go punch right in the face.
Right.
You're like, man, I thought I had a good week.
Yeah. I mean, when things are going great, it's always worse than you think. When things are going like shit, it's always better than you
Yeah.
think. I mean, that's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think team leaders too, in a sense, I always say this about quarterbacks, right? Now we just realized the Lions just lost.
Dave was a quarterback.
Have I ever told you guys? I usually lead with that.
Self-proclaimed, but no video proof.
I was a quarterback in middle school. That counts in anything. 7th, 8th grade, I was a good quarterback. Then I played center when I got to high school. But that's how good of a quarterback I was.
That's right. Yeah.
But no, so I think that team leaders too, just like quarterbacks, we get too much of the blame and too much of the credit. You know what I mean? Like there's like, because we're like, oh, Jared Goff, blah blah blah, right? Like, well, also we didn't block very well,
For sure.
right? Like when you get planted on your butt a few times, it's like, can you block? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So, but when it does work, it's like, oh my God, see how good he was. I'm like, well, because the other guy's blocked and he had some time to stand back there, right?
For sure.
So, but they get all the credit and all the blame, and
For
I feel
sure.
it's kind of the same way in leadership, right? Like it's like, oh man, I want to do this. It's like, well, I didn't do any of that. Like the team did that stuff.
For sure.
You know.
Well, it goes back to what Dave said, where like I feel like we're, as a group doing the business we're doing, I feel like it's a pretty humble and casual group. And it's not just Dave and I. I mean, we have Brandon, who Verlinden, he's our COO, and he completely changed our business 2.5 years ago. I mean, we would not be at 220 without him. We have some agents that have been on the team that are now coaches with us for 6-7 years. So really the team is built with myself, Dave, and 10, 15 other key players that have been here. They coach, they impact, they influence. So I'd say it's a collective leadership group, and that's why we're winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys are winning at a high level, man. You guys are winning at a high level.
It's a good year.
It's you're like the quiet assassins over
I
there.
know.
Like,
Yeah, we like keeping it that way.
Yeah, everybody's like, who's this Best Life and Company?
Yeah.
Who are these guys? Who's that? Like, who are these guys? I'm like, you guys don't know who they are. You're gonna find out.
Yeah,
Let's keep the target off our back.
Yeah, right. We always joke,
It's hard when you're always number one.
I know. We might have to get a billboard or two.
Or 12.
Yeah.
Pull those numbers.
Yeah,
That's
more
why
than
we're
that.
good partners, because he says spend all the money and I say save all the money.
That's the yin and yang,
Yep,
right? That's
yep,
what you need,
yep,
right? Like
yep.
that's you always need that person that's gonna be like, no, don't do that.
What do you always say?
What's that? No risk it, no biscuit?
Or like, what do you say? I'm crabby, pessimistic,
Oh,
never want to spend any money, all the
man,
above.
This guy's a glass guy. Glass half empty. Everything.
He's the curmudgeon.
Always.
He's the
Oh,
curmudgeon.
man, he's
Oh,
just an
man.
old salty boomer in an elder millennial body. Everything's expensive. This jacket, you probably got this jacket for free.
No comment.
But it's a write-off because he's got the logo on it, so it's definitely a write-off. Yeah,
right. As a prototype, he's like, I'll take this.
Yeah,
Chestnut checkers.
yeah. The zipper's broke, but it keeps me warm.
That's right.
But what's the 10-year vision?
10-year vision is 5 locations, 1,500 deals. And we're in year 2 of that 10-year vision, so we'll see how it goes. But, we're excited. And, I think in our vision, like, one thing we talk about with the team a lot, because growth is scary. And we have agents that joined Best Life that was a small team, 1 location, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 agents. And it is different now. And I think we realize that. So I think it's important to communicate the vision. But one thing that we'll never compromise is agent productivity. And I think that's kind of what makes us different. So when I first started the team, 2018, Dave came on early 2019, we averaged 24 closings per agent. Now we're at 45 agents, and we're still at 22 closings per agent. That was how we ended 2024. So as long as agent productivity remains, and we feel like everyone's rowing in the same direction, we're winning together, I think we can grow the right way with controlled growth. So, we'd like to hit 1,500 deals. If we don't, it doesn't kill us. As long as we keep that family environment, we still feel small as we continue to grow and add locations. Sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have
That's
anything
good.
to add?
No, that's a good way to put it.
Are you staying on to the 10-year vision, or are you going off on your own?
No. Yeah.
Let's just throw it out there.
Let's do this.
I feel
right
like we
now.
needed to have that convo.
I know. Thanks for bringing it
I
up,
like
Jim.
that.
You can't have
Appreciate
it.
that. What do you charge for this?
This is what
mediation.
This is what we do, right? Yeah, we ask. I clearly asked you guys before we went on here. Is there anything off the table? And you guys are like, no, we're an open book.
Open book. Well, it's funny you say that, because I think, Dave and I have conversations like this all the time. And, with Dave, like I said, everyone has different goals: business, personal, professional, family life, financial goals, investment goals, whatever that may be. We talk about that often. And a lot of the conversation is in Dave's role. And as he continues to grow, now he's an owner in Best Life, the entire team. He's the expansion partner for Romeo, and there's some different things that we're partners on where as long as we can get him, to that number and that work-life balance and whatever he wants to achieve, it's my job to keep him here, and hopefully he wants to stay. I mean, that's the game as a team leader.
Yeah.
You have to make people stay and make them think that the grass isn't greener somewhere else. And, I always say this, and I think John Cheplack, I do not coach with him, but big fan of his. I mean, he just said there's never enough money to get into a relationship or to leave a relationship, right? So it's got to be more than that. So obviously that is always in someone's top 5, but culture, community, family, staying small, some of the things we're doing outside of the real estate piece, I mean, that's what keeps people and what we're trying to build.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of teams out there that offer, and we touched on it earlier, like the growth opportunities that Best Life does. Like, how many times does a producer kind of get a fork in the road? It's like, all right, do I do this on my own, start from scratch? Do I start a mini team? Like, and to Ken's credit, it's like, all right, let's find a way to grow a team within the team. And then it starts with baby steps, a showing agent, your coaching, you have your transaction team, right? And you kind of learn the ropes. But then eventually it's like, all right, here's location 2. Like, here's how it makes sense. Here's how the whole thing would work. And it just made a lot of sense for me and my family. But I don't know how many teams are out there that are doing things like this at this level with the amount of production and growth opportunities as well. So, I mean, I could go on and on with it, but it's a system that works, and it's a locomotive that's moving, and I wanted to just continue being a part of it because it made a ton of sense for me and my family.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun.
Dave calls me up. He goes, Ken, I bought a building in Romeo. I'm gonna put $250,000 into
It's
it.
a good story.
And I'm doing this with or without you. No.
It was a
little different version, but
It was a poker game, and he put all his chips in the middle. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Ken's super conservative, but his credit, I mean, obviously it works, and he's, made a lot of good decisions, and we were kind of like flirting a little bit, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were dating.
Yeah. And I mean,
Things
I don't
are
know,
hot
how long
and
did it
heavy.
take you to propose to Taylor? I mean, I'm not going to call you out right now, but and so anyways.
Is she listening right now?
She's calling in right now. Between the golf and
Between
this.
the golf and this.
Jesus.
I just bought this old condemned building. I'm like, let's figure it out. So it worked out.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you're right in downtown Romeo?
Yeah, right on Main Street.
I love Romeo.
Yeah. Oh,
Romeo's
it's awesome.
great.
Great
Romeo's
downtown.
great.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Dave grew up just north of there. I grew up in Romeo, and he had recently bought a house in Washington Township. So, I mean, it just made complete sense. Like, a lot of people are like, Royal Oak, why Romeo? Like, that's a weird second location, and obviously made sense to my point, person first, location second.
Yeah.
There's a lot of synergies and reasons why the location made sense. But, if Dave was moving to Rochester, we likely would have opened up a space in Rochester.
Yeah.
Person first, location second.
Love it.
So,
Yeah, but the market in Romeo is fantastic.
blowing up.
It is.
Yeah. I mean,
Small town. I mean, it's had growth forever, but small town growing. I mean, you've been a big part of the downtown development and everything. So, I mean, what do you have to?
Romeo's, I think it's the best downtown in Macomb County. It's walkable. It's cute. Like, there's all these restaurants going in and like little shops popping up. I mean,
I
it's growing
showed
like
a
crazy.
house in Romeo probably a year and a half ago. It was the big white house. Like, it was, I can't remember the name of it.
You're talking the gray house?
The gray house, yes.
You showed that
Yeah,
one?
yeah. I showed that, the gray house.
That thing is
The one that was
interesting.
unfinished.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like he had it partially done.
Yes.
Did you ever go in it?
Oh, yeah.
So the basketball thing in the
Up in
third
the attic,
level?
there's
I didn't see it.
It's like
Yeah.
Jimmy Chitwood special up
Yeah,
there.
it is. It's great.
I need to
man.
appreciate that.
I'm like, man, we could get up. I was like trying to convince my wife we should buy it.
There's like
out here.
11 bedrooms in there. Yeah, they were trying to make it a bed and breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, this place was, and then when I talked to the owner, and they took out 30 some dumpsters of junk out of that
my
place.
God.
Like,
Yeah, it used to be like an orphanage.
yeah,
You're going to need 11 bedrooms for all the kids you're having.
So I got to sell out of houses.
that's why he's in Romeo.
That's
He's
right.
gonna buy the
Yeah,
gray
that's
house
right.
in
We
Romeo.
always joke, yeah, my break even's like 50 deals.
Did he ever sell that place?
I don't know if it's sold. No.
It hasn't sold. No.
Because he didn't seem real excited about selling. But
Yeah, they're working
He
with
liked-
the
Well,
village.
you
and
saw the
trying-
number,
yeah, oh yeah,
and it was completely unfinished, right? So,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, this is a historic purchase.
His thing was that he was gonna let you figure it out.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I got it to where you could then finish. I'm like,
Tee it up.
I'm walking around like, oh, that's gonna be another $1 million.
Yeah,
to finish
easy.
this
Oh,
thing.
yeah, for sure.
Like,
It's an open canvas for you, Jimmy.
yeah, for $1 million and then put another $1 million.
Yeah,
in,
exactly,
Right? Like I'm
yeah.
like, oh, so it's $2 million.
For sure.
We're talking about,
Yeah.
right? He's like, well, no, I don't think it's. I'm like, oh no, dude, there's no kitchen in here. Like, you got nothing in here.
It's an interesting home for sure, and everyone knows about it in Romeo. A lot of chatter in town. I grew up in Elmont, just north of there. Ken mentioned too.
Okay.
So like we get a lot of referrals just.
Oh,
from
you were
our
a quarterback
network.
in Almont.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned that T1 athlete, all the above, whatever. But yeah, Elmont, we get a lot of thumb deals. We always joke that I'm a simple guy from the thumb, but I love it up there. Never thought we'd move back, and it's great because family and friends are all up there. I mean, you get a lot of business up in Emily City, you name it, and it's been nice. I mean, we were in Royal Oak for 10 years, so it's good being close to family and everything.
Yeah.
And life by design, all those things you talk about, like beyond real estate. Like I'm 7 minutes from the office, 14 minutes from the grandparents. Like growing this team, having fun doing it. I mean, yeah, it's been a great couple of years up there.
Yeah. Well, Sandy said you guys did a great job with the Peach Festival last year.
Oh, yeah, Sandy has great taste.
Is it Sadie?
Huh?
Sadie?
Sandy.
Oh, Sandy. Yeah.
Yeah, she said you guys did a great job with the Peach Festival.
That's
Yeah.
our claim to fame, right?
Yeah, we have a nice float. Probably the best one.
Yeah, we do a float, and we're in the parade. It's great every year.
No way.
Yeah, all that.
Throw a party.
I didn't
all the
realize
agents
it.
are invited. Their kids come out. They're
Yeah.
on the float, and yeah, they absolutely love it. It's fun.
Yeah.
Now,
We
do you
haven't-
create the float? Like, so this is a whole.
Oh, this is a thing.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
small town
How can I get a
America.
float?
I think you got to give some credit and shout out to Billy Anderson
Shout out Billy Anderson, Rapid Sign Install.
for
Put
the
together
for the
the-
float assistance.
Put the whole float together, the whole base on it. Yeah, drove the truck. Can't trust myself driving a float.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we get a little house on there and a sign, and we get flags and we're wacky inflatable arm flailing tube guys. I mean, yeah, we just go nuts.
It's
That's
awesome.
fantastic.
It's awesome.
Yeah, our kids are throwing the candy. We
Yeah.
haven't figured out the candy situation. We keep buying more. We're just chucking it. Great.
We buy more and just throw more to
Yeah,
the
that's
kids
all we do.
earlier. So by 20% through the parade, we're all out.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I-
These
Yeah,
are the
that's how it
metrics
goes.
we got to figure out, Jimmy. What's the
You're crunching
yeah.
numbers everywhere.
everywhere?
Yeah,
literally,
you're
you
crunching
name
numbers
it.
everywhere.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And can I get a float in the parade next year?
You're in.
No
Heck yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
We'll
You
put
got
a
to.
hoop
You're
on it.
you're driving it. You're
Perfect.
driving the truck.
I'm in. Yeah,
Good.
I'm in.
Done.
Yeah, I'm in. We're done. Yeah, the Elite Real Estate Podcast is going to roll through a float in Romeo. I'll do the
I love
podcast
that.
live from the float.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Yeah.
America needs it.
I know
Yeah.
we're like kind of joking, but that would actually be awesome. we could do it.
We could do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I think we
Yeah,
should.
We got to, dude.
I'm
plug
in.
and play.
Yeah,
Literally
I'm
plug.
in.
Yeah.
This will be easy.
Like
yeah.
this, co-branding.
This stuff travels.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, this stuff travels. Throw it on the float. I'm not scared. Yeah, I'm not scared. But what? Circle it back together now, right? But what is if you guys were to start over,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you had to start a team over again, I'm not telling you to do it, but if you had to start a team over, like how would you assemble it? Like where would you start?
That's a good question. And I'm going to let you lead with that one.
Oh man.
Golly. Well, you've done it twice.
We've
You
done it
might as well
twice, right?
just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah. Anything different?
I feel like I learned a lot first time around growing the team, right? And I think, what would I do differently this time? I mean, it's tough. It's a great question.
Yeah, it's
I
hard.
feel like from the first, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you from the first team that I grew, I felt like we grew too fast
Okay.
and we focused on, whether intentional or unintentional agent count over agent productivity a little bit more than I would like. And I feel like a question that you need to ask constantly, and I have to remind myself, is as you grow, most agents will ask that are on the team, what's in it for us? So as long as agents are aligned in that vision and they understand what growth can do for them, I think that's a really just kind of key piece of advice, right? So some of the things as we've continued to grow, my goal is each agent to feel like everything's getting better for them, right? So as long as agents are winning more, things that we've done in the past 3-4 years that we weren't able to do, and when we're in startup mode,
Yeah.
we have 61 people going on a trip to Mexico, agents and their significant others and spouses in a month. 61 people, 4 days, all inclusive, all paid for. That's something we couldn't have done 4 years ago.
Margaritaville, by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Thomas likes the drinks with the umbrellas and, whatever. So just kind of ask yourself, like, if you do want to grow, make sure it's controlled growth and make sure that all the agents are aligned kind of in that vision.
Got it.
Because when you start a team and you hire 1 or 2 agents, like those 2 agents are really important. They may make up 33% of the team if it's a team of 3, right? And then you start growing and they're like, well, shit, am I still going to get deals from Ken? Am I going to do this? Am I still going to make the same amount of money? Like, what's in it for me for the growth? So I think if I were to do things differently, I think I would communicate what's in it for them and that vision a little bit more sooner because you asked. And I feel like I'm trying to communicate our vision and what it means for everybody a little more frequently and transparently.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then I think
Yeah.
the last thing I'll say is, I feel like one of the things that's pretty cool about our team is we are very transparent. Every quarter at our sales meetings, we go over our entire P&L, where the money's going, how much we're making.
Yeah.
I think it's that transparency is important. And I think early on, it wasn't that I was private about it, but I just didn't think people cared. And then, we started doing quarterly kind of P&L, reports and conversations at our sales meetings. And it was crazy the feedback I got. Like, I love that. It's great to see that we're at a company that is making money. It's great to see exactly where you're putting that extra profit. It's great to see if we do crush, what that's going to do for us and how you're going to invest back in the company. And then honestly, it's a way for me, leadership group, it's kind of that social accountability to the team that if we say, here's what we're doing with the money and here's our plan for the next quarter, it holds us accountable to actually execute on some of that. So
Yeah.
I think I was a little more private with all that in the beginning. And I think if I were to do it all over again, I think you just be very transparent with it all. And I think agents appreciate that openness
Yeah.
from a leadership standpoint.
And I feel too, it also is, it's big because the assumption of how much money you're actually
100%.
making,
Yep.
it's like, well, no, there's a lot going out.
100%.
Like, there's a lot that comes in, and there's a lot that goes out.
Yeah, I mean, agents are surprised to hear, some months when it's a slower month, company could lose 10 or 20 grand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy.
Easy. Yeah,
Yeah.
And that's all part of it. But again, there's also months where we make a lot of money too.
Yeah.
But I think just, again, to your point, that transparency is eye-opening and good for all.
Yeah.
Yep.
We do a lot of cool stuff on our team. Is there anything changed? Like, are these winners' dinners getting too expensive?
So he's mentioned it a few times. It's a quarterly sales dinner. So any agent who closes 5 units or 1.2 million in volume in a month qualifies for a quarterly sales dinner.
Got it.
So usually we got 20 or 25 people with their spouses and stuff. We'll go out and, it's a $5,000 to $7,000 dinner. So yes, they are getting too expensive.
I don't know if you want to scale it back. Is it too easy to get into?
Maybe
Or-
you got to raise the bar on. Oh no, just start coming over to Aspen.
Oh, we love Aspen.
We're 2 minutes away from Golden Corral.
Yeah. And they can get a variety of food.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So now for you, from an agent perspective,
Mhm.
what should an agent look for in a team or a brokerage?
Good question. So it just depends on what's important to them, right? Like, are they going to get the support, the hands-on support, the accountability? Excuse me. And are they going to get the leads, right? Like, is this a place that you align with culturally? Like, are you going to like the vibe here? Like, are the people like production focused but still fun to work with? Cool. You might figure it out in the first meeting or two, or come to a team meeting, hang out with us, or be in our team calls. And then, if I'm a new agent or an agent looking to like scale my business, like, are the leads going to be there? And does my coach get it? And so, I have a lot of people that have I'll talk to, maybe joined a team or been solo for a few years. And it's like, I'm kind of stuck in this, I've hit this glass ceiling. And if you put pen to paper, it's like, okay, well, here's where we can get you. If we get you the right amount of leads and, you do your job work in your sphere as well, and we kind of meet you halfway, and here's what your net out can look like. It can make a lot of sense. So I guess to answer your question, is my coach going to be there? Are they going to be hands-on? Am I going to get help if I need it on a phone call late at night or whatever, right? Is my coach engaged? Is my team leader engaged? And am I going to have the leads and culture to is it going to be fun to work where I'm at?
Right.
Yeah, real estate's hard. I've been doing it 10 and a half years, and some days it's easy, some days it's very hard, and that's one of the reasons why I love it. Is every deal, every negotiation, every day presents different challenges. You gotta love it, you gotta enjoy it, and I think you have to like the people you work with. So I think culture, environment is key. And a lot of times when we do have people look to join our team, we invite them to our team meeting and say, hang out with us for 3-4 hours and see what the vibe and culture is like, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with these people. Make sure you enjoy the environment.
Yeah. Yeah. We got a couple minutes left, but
Awesome.
Al Abdallah just said it. He said some large teams sell so much and make so much, but the leader's profit is not so much. Some leaders make more as a smaller team or solo agent. Why is that?
It's a great question, Al. Yeah. So a lot of times, right, and I've done this twice with 2 different teams. So a lot of times there's this shift somewhere between year 1, 2, 3, or 4 when the team leader goes from fully in production to out of production, right? So there's that shift. I think it was about 3-4 years ago, I listed like 35 houses. And when you're the team leader, all of that commission goes straight to you and really hits your bottom line. And then you shift out of production to focus on some of the other things, and you're taking definitely a short-term setback financially to grow the business and further leverage. So I think it's a fine line between, the money that a team leader, wants or needs to make and the work-life balance that they want. And I was very busy when I listed 35 houses 3 years ago and also ran the team. And that wasn't what I wanted to do forever, right?
Right.
I would rather coach and lead and do some different things within the team, still very active, but not necessarily listing 35 houses, right? So, I think it's a fine line, and you just have to make that, transition, because when you do give away your leads, your buyer leads, your listing leads, you're not making 100% split or gross profit on that. So you're kind of saying, hey, the long-term game as I continue to grow, how long does that take, and how soon do I want to get there? So why is that? Because most team leaders get out of production, and they're obviously not making all when they're not selling, right?
Yeah, it's dividing, right? So you're lessening, but then to increase eventually, to multiply.
Exactly.
Right? So, well, guys, it's been an hour.
Has it?
It goes a lot faster.
Let's keep it rolling.
Dang.
Yeah, it goes a lot faster than you think, but I appreciate you guys coming on so much. The crowd is appreciating you. We had a bunch of people on the phone call today, a bunch of people on there. I know where KGCI Radio is doing its thing. So, again, I appreciate you guys jumping into the Elite Real Estate Podcast. Join us next week as well, and every Friday, 7:30 a.m. live. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.